You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
What Really Happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, where you'll find out what the Fukushima's going on.
And aloha, America. Welcome to our show today. It is Tuesday, November 19th, 2019, getting on toward the end of the month, getting on toward Thanksgiving. And we have got a lot to talk about today. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443, 800-313-9443. Mike is in our control room, ready to answer the phone, put you on the air with your comments, questions, and observations. So let's just get right on into it. And we're going to start here with the war zones, emphasis on the plural here. Apparently, Kurdish radicals in Syria tried to burn a joint Russian-Turkish patrol in the so-called safe zone. And the Russian and Turkish forces avoided the use of force against the Kurdish radicals, although a Turkish vehicle rammed one of the cars involved in the provocation. Okay, so article coming on out from UNS.com asking, when did Ukraine become a critical ally? And they're basically responding to an article written by Barbara Boland, the American conservative columnist, that the U.S. has always provided arms to Ukraine and that Ukraine has relied on the aid for a year. But this, is because Ukraine is a critical ally. Well, Ukraine isn't a critical ally, and Washington knows this. Ukraine has never been a NATO ally or a critical ally. We've certainly tried to become friends with them by kicking out their elected government and imposing Poroshenko on them. But the question is Ukraine an ally? And should we be sending them weapons? And the wisdom is basically, maybe we shouldn't, because we're risking war with a nuclear-armed Russia. There's another article saying exactly the same thing. This is coming out of Lew Rockwell. And it's saying that you see all these newspaper articles, magazine articles, talking heads saying, how much aid, military aid, should we send to Ukraine? And the question really is, why are we sending it at all? I mean, Ukraine has its own assets. It's got its own manufacturing. It doesn't really need aid from the United States taxpayer. It's just another way of trying to goad Russia, and it's a very, very dangerous game right now. Okay, as we reported yesterday, the Trump administration has announced a major policy shift toward Israel. It no longer views Israel's West Bank settlements as inconsistent with international law. Now, they stopped short of saying, we believe they're perfectly legal. They basically came out and said, we don't think that that's a problem there. And this is another pander to Israel, along with moving the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem, of recognizing Israel's sovereignty over the Golan Heights and so forth and so on. And Mike Pompeo came on out, made that statement. And today we're hearing the reaction from around the world, which can be described as outrage. Various other, especially Palestine, obviously, saying these settlements are built on stolen land and they are a tremendous obstacle to peace. Now, Gilad Atzmon came out with an article basically saying, by doing this, the United States has officially embraced the one-state solution. And I don't think the Palestinians want a one-state solution. They want their own nation. It used to be their nation. And they can already tell from Israel's behavior toward them that in the one-state solution, they will be second-class citizens. Remember, Israel passed that law basically saying Israel is a country for the Jewish people and everybody else is second class. All right, something a lot of people are not really familiar with is Israel's role in the diamond industry. And it turns out that diamonds are Israel's #1 manufacturing export. If you'll pardon the pun, it's a cornerstone of their economy. And apparently that economy generates 88% of the vast security budget that funds the Israeli Defense Forces. So Israel turns over about $28 billion in diamonds a year. And they make a big deal over saying that all of their diamonds are clean diamonds. They are legally bought, purchased on the world market. And then Israel turns around and resells them to various diamond merchants around the world. But it turns out those diamonds really aren't as clean as you might think. In fact, Israel is running a blood diamond laundry. Plus, if you think about it, they're using the money that's being generated by the diamond trade to basically spill a lot of Palestinian blood and Lebanese blood and Syrian blood and so forth and so on. So it is a bit of a problem here. And, you know, diamonds, let's be honest, diamonds are a bit of a hoax. They aren't that valuable because they're not that rare. You've been convinced about that through commercials and TV and movies and, oh, diamonds are precious and, you know, that's why they cost so much. It's basically crystallized carbon, and there are enough diamonds already for every married woman to have one on her finger and to have 2-3 jewelry stores in every shopping mall full of these stones. That doesn't look like a rare commodity at all, justifying the high prices. But when you have a monopoly, which Israel seems to have pretty much on the world diamond market, you charge what you can get away with and convince everybody that the high prices are worth it. High prices are worth it, really. All right, we're going to do a shout out now to our on-air affiliates who are just now rejoining the network. Okay, back in March, Bernie Sanders said the U.S. healthcare system needs to be like Finland. Said this back on March 6th. In the United States, it costs on average $12,000 to have a baby. In Finland, it costs $60. And only a few days later, Finland's entire government resigned because they couldn't keep the healthcare system working. It's a socialist healthcare system. And it's almost like every country that Bernie says he wants the U.S. to be like always ends up failing due to socialism. Even the Soviet Union succumbed to socialism. It took them a long time to do it because they're such a large country. Looking over at Thailand, Thailand is starting to replace their aging U.S. helicopters, not with new U.S.-built models, but they're buying helicopters from Russia and Italy. That includes the Russian Mi-17 medium twin-turbine transport helicopters and several Augusta-Westland AW-149s and AW-139s for transporting VIPs. So we can expect the United States to declare sanctions on Thailand. You don't buy your weapons from them. They're the bad guys. You buy your weapons from us. We're the good guys. Except that U.S. weapons, even non-weapons like the Boeing 737 and the Dreamliner, are getting a bad reputation for poor quality and high cost. Over in North Korea, they have come on out and responded to Trump's latest tweet saying they're no longer interested in further meetings with the U.S. because they're completely useless. Everybody talks and talks and talks and nothing gets done. The U.S. refuses to make any concessions. They're still coming into the meeting room and say, you do what we want first. Get rid of your ballistic missiles, and then we'll maybe think about doing something nice for you. Meanwhile, down in South Korea, they're now ticked off at the United States of America because the U.S. has tried to raise the price tag for hosting American troops by 5 times. And right now, they're demanding that Seoul spend $5 billion with a B each year to host 28,500 American personnel on its soil. Frankly, if I were South Korea, I'd say, no deal. Get out. Don't want you here anyway. All right, looking up at China. Remember yesterday we were talking about this story where Henry Kissinger is out there saying that if we don't mend our differences with China, the resulting conflict will be worse than the world wars. Now, I'm not expecting Chinese soldiers to march into North America. They've got the soldiers. They don't have the transport ships. They could crank up, like the Liberty Ship program. I don't see that happening. But if we start trading missiles with each other, China's a nuclear power. So today we have this article that came out of Global Intel Hub talking about how there are irreconcilable differences between the United States and China. And it's got nothing to do with trade and everything to do with China's growing political, economic, financial, and military might. And there are people in the United States in both parties, they want it undermined. They can't improve things here in the United States of America, so their backup tactic is, we're going to go out and make everybody else fail. And that's why I will be able to go on saying America's the greatest nation on earth. So the United States and China are rivals. They're not partners. And along with Russia, China's growing prominence and might on the world stage conflicts with longstanding U.S. Agenda to dominate other countries unchallenged. Very, very dangerous, destabilizing situation here. Okay, over in Bolivia, they're still having massive protests there. And it's basically the people are very unhappy over the coup d'etat that ousted the democratically elected president, Evo Morales. And so the de facto and unelected president of Bolivia, Janine Áñez, has signed a decree that exempts all military personnel from being criminally responsible, even in the case of murder, when dealing with the demonstrations. In other words, they've all been given a license to kill. What a mess we've made of that place. Every place the United States has gone into, a mess here. There are mass protests continuing in Iran. 67 demonstrators are killed, and the Iranian regime is firing on protesters from the air. Article coming out of Stephen Landman is saying, is this really an organic grassroots protest against higher prices, or is this another attempt by the United States to bring about regime change in Iran and put in another U.S. puppet government? And I'm going to say it probably is, because they did it back in 1953 with the Shah of Iran. Then the Iranians kicked him out in 1979. In 2009, the United States tried to do it again, bring about a revolution. That didn't work. So it looks like they're trying to do it again here. All right, now yesterday we reported on how Erdogan, talking to Donald Trump, said, look, we're willing to buy the Patriot missile. We've already committed to the Russian S-400. We understand you're a little upset, but we're willing to buy the Patriot missile. You'll get the money, you'll sell the product, and everybody will be happy. And apparently the United States attitude is, no, that's not good enough. You have to cancel the order with Russia and only buy from us. So Erdogan is now looking for an alternative to the F-35, which is basically on the block. The United States is saying, we refuse to sell it to you unless you get rid of the S-400. And where this is going to get embarrassing is the fact that Russia has several fighters which are the equal of the F-35. Now, remember, the F-35 has recently been proven to not be as stealthy as it's supposed to be. It is extremely fragile. Apparently, firefighting foam will melt that anti-reflective coating off the frame. Just amazing here. So Turkey is looking for an alternative. Probably it's going to find what it needs going to Russia. And the more the U.S. pushes on these countries, the more they're pushing them away from the United States and pushing them toward the Russian sphere of influence. Russia doesn't have to work to subvert the world or conquer these countries or anything like that. The U.S. is doing it for them. I don't know who's in charge of foreign policy in this country, but whoever it is, they're an idiot. Okay, for the second consecutive year, the U.S. Department of Defense failed a financial audit. And it's trillions of dollars pouring in there, and trillions simply go missing. Really is a racket over there. And I've seen some of that waste going on myself. Years ago when I was still doing classified work, I was spending a lot of my time at Martin Marietta out in Colorado. And the money was just flowing through fingers like water. They really didn't care. There was always going to be more money. Anyway, okay, let's talk about our domestic politics. The White House has released a statement confirming that, yes, indeed, Donald Trump made an unannounced stop at the Walter Reed Hospital, saying there was a worrisome and unusual incident. They're not saying what it was. Interestingly enough, while not saying anything about poison in the food or anything, they did make a point of saying that the White House food tester is actually the White House chef. So they're apparently very concerned about all the rumors and theories that are floating around the internet right now. And apparently Obama had the same arrangement. It didn't begin with Donald Trump. In fact, having somebody test the president's food goes all the way back to Ronald Reagan. Now, Donald Trump's doctor came out with his own statement saying that there's no big deal. You know, we have to monitor his health, and they're going to have a more comprehensive examination after the new year. And the doctor claimed the examination was part of a routine planned interim checkup, and the only reason it was unscheduled and unannounced to the hospital staff was due to scheduling uncertainties. Now, boy, that sounds like a cover story to me. Really sounds like a cover story here. Another little article here. This is from TouchstoneConnect.com. What happens if Trump gets reelected? And they use a term here. I'm not sure they really understand what it means. But they're saying Trump will be a lame duck president. I'm not sure that's appropriate. What they're trying to say is that Trump will be free to act however he pleases because he doesn't have to worry about re-election. And gist of the article is that Donald Trump may actually care about America and use the second term to implement his agenda. Well, I'm sorry. We've given him 3.5 years, and I'm not impressed. Definitely not impressed. Okay, we're going to take a phone call. Don in Arizona. Aloha, Don. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yes, Mike, I believe that would not surprise me at all if Trump gets poisoned. That would be a way they could, his enemies, the whole CIA, or not the whole CIA, but he definitely has enemies in the intelligence.
Okay, Don, I'm going to have to put you on hold. Don't hang up. I'm going to put you on hold. Come right back to you after these words from our sponsors.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
When all this twisted steel was swept away, did these remaining holes reveal what's really happened?
And aloha, America. Welcome back to the show here. We're talking with Don in Arizona, and we're talking about President Trump. So, Don, what's on your mind?
Yes, the possibility of him getting poisoned would not surprise me. There's been many thinly veiled threats through the years, and just last week, Brennan tweeted and he said, "May your downfall be swift." And poisoning him would be a way where they could deny it. Probably. I mean, these intelligence guys know many ways to kill somebody.
Yes.
Poison is one of them. So yeah, somebody should find out what happened. Other people are saying maybe he had a heart attack or he has a neurological problem or something. They should come clean on that and say what happened on that. But I would like to see Trump pick this girl, Stefanik, Representative Stefanik. She's nice. Get rid of Pence. Just say, Pence, go hit the road, go back to your talk show, because he used to be a talk show host. And he could pick this, because he tweeted her and said she's a rising star in the Republican Party. If he were to get a female running mate, it would help him, because a lot of women in America want to vote for a woman. That's all they care about. They don't really are not familiar with anything. They just say, "Hey, it's a woman, I'm going to vote for her." And so, but I'm not. That's just a wild guess that he might be thinking about that. I don't know. But outside of that, that's about all I got, Mike. I'll let you go now. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks an awful lot, Don. We're going to let you go. Thank you for the phone call. And yeah, I mean, the Secret Service has said there have already been attempts on Donald Trump's life. They won't go into details about them. And yes, the intelligence agencies have some very exotic poisons, some of which will leave no trace for the doctors to find. So yeah, it's a dangerous situation. The question is, we need to know what symptoms were being exhibited by the food tester, the chef. By the way, that reminds me, an interesting little thing. It makes sense that the chef would be the food tester, not just for the possibility of harm, but to make sure he's doing a good job. And I don't know anybody who cooks who doesn't dip out a spoonful of what they're cooking to just check it out during the process here. In fact, over in Japan, they have a very exotic dish called fugu, which is actually the puffer fish. And the trick with the puffer fish is that the body is loaded with tetrodotoxin, and it's lethal. And if the dish is not prepared properly, you can die from eating it. So the tradition in Japan is the fugu chef, who's specially trained and specially licensed, will bring the fugu out to the guest who ordered it. It's a big status symbol. And then he will eat one piece of it standing right there before the table to show that it's okay. Getting on back to our domestic politics here, Lieutenant Colonel Vindman testified before the House impeachment circus and was really kind of squirming around and not acting like somebody who thought he was telling the truth. And so there's an article over in stationgossip.com. Suspicions grow that Vindman is the source of the leak of the U.S. military aid suspension story to Politico. This is the exact same article used by Schiff to push this whole Trump-Ukraine issue. Now, Senator Johnson sends a letter to Congress and accuses Lieutenant Colonel Vindman of illegally leaking contents of the Trump call and holding a duplicitous motive. Trump's got to be feeling a lot like John F. Kennedy right about now, surrounded by enemies, and he doesn't know which way to turn here. Apparently, back in 2017, Steve Bannon was pushing for the alleged whistleblower Eric Ciaramella to be removed from the National Security Council. He didn't trust him. Trump should have let Eric go and kept Steve Bannon. Anyway, polls are showing that the impeachment hearings are getting an icy reception from the group that matters most, and that's the independents. The ones who don't vote a straight party line, but they vote the issues and they vote the candidates here. And apparently, on the second day of testimony before the impeachment show trial, 95% of Americans tuned it out. They didn't even want to watch. The New York Times is already admitting no one believes the liberal news media anymore. Too much hysteria and fake news. Well, you did it to yourselves, guys. You really, really did. And another poll is showing a majority of Americans don't want impeachment. 76% don't trust the Democrats and believe the media is pushing the sham. Okay, we got to take another break for commercials, and we'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcasts. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
Many people write us about their experience with Extendivite. Allow me to read you some from Amazon.com. This product is superb. I have been taking it for about a year now, and I can feel my cardiovascular system run like a Swiss watch. I definitely recommend this product for anyone that has high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and heart palpitations, A+. It's potent, but it works. I have been waking up for the past 3 years with numb hands, and a week into using Extendivite, my numb hands seem to have cleared up. My circulation was off, and now it's back on track. So I'm happy. I feel so energized, and I have my husband on it now. My mother-in-law has cholesterol problems, so I bought her a bottle as well. Thank you so much. Love the product. Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite. We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves
and aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. Now, so far, the public hearings for the impeachment effort have been an epic disaster for the Democrats. Their witnesses are discrediting themselves. Some have given testimony that it's obvious Pelosi and Schiff weren't expecting. And so now, in an act of desperation, the Democrats are going back to the whole Russia hoax, and they're going back to the Mueller report and trying to find out or trying to prove or demonstrate that Trump lied to the special counsel. So they can say, obstruction of justice. And it's a fiasco. It's a real fiasco. And Trump does need to take a more proactive role. And I think his offer to provide written answers to the impeachment circus or to testify in front of them, I think it's a big mistake. It's just going to give him more grist for the mill. Doesn't matter what he says, it'll be twisted and manipulated and maneuvered around to make it look like he's guilty. Now, there's a story out there that is not making the corporate media. and that is apparently Adam Schiff's being connected with Ed Buck. Now, officially, Schiff is under investigation. The corporate media isn't reporting that. Now, Barack Obama, during a special speech at a private dinner on Friday, he basically gave the Democratic Party a warning that was aimed at the 2020 presidential candidates. Don't become too extreme. And Obama told a room of liberal voters that the average American doesn't want a revolution or to tear down the system. At least for this American, that's absolutely correct. I don't want to see a revolution in this country. I don't want to tear down the system. It needs some serious repair, and I'm afraid it's going to tear itself down. But apparently, liberals just went on the attack mode against Obama. They're saying they're getting too extreme, and they are. They've gone so hard left, and it's just amazing. And I can imagine people of my age are just stunned. We never saw stuff like this, when I was younger. Members of Congress acted in a respectable manner. They weren't just this hysterical crowd of children screaming at each other here. Over at the State Department, official Mina Chang has resigned amid claims that she inflated, which is a polite way of saying lied, on her resume. Meanwhile, Sweden has now officially, formally dropped the rape investigation into Julian Assange. Now, apparently, in Sweden, if you have consensual sex but fail to wear a condom, that's considered a form of rape. That's what they were investigating him for. So they've dropped that whole situation, meaning only the U.S. is trying to extradite Julian Assange. And they're trying to extradite him over the fact that he facilitated the release of video showing war crimes being committed by the United States forces in Iraq. So getting on over to Prince Andrew, he's actually in a little bit of trouble. And being a royal, he got involved in a lot of charities and a lot of organizations. And the global accounting firm KPMG, one of the largest, has now dumped Prince Andrew's mentorship program after the BBC interview. That interview was a disaster. It absolutely was a disaster. Okay, Advertising Week Europe, Standard Charter. They're pulling backing for the Royals' main charity. Or universities that are considering severing their ties with him. It's a big problem, and of course, it is providing fuel for those people who say Britain's outgrown the need for a royal family. All right, we're going to do a phone call now. Joe in Tennessee, aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike, I think Trump testifying like you is a big mistake.
Yeah.
My thing isn't as much about them getting Trump. It's that by Trump, it's going to, it's just kind of like giving the whole hearings credibility. I mean, he's the president of the United States, and this is just a political circus, and it's almost like him showing up, even though I think he'd probably tear him apart. And it would probably actually politically be, probably win the election for him and the House. But it's the point of giving it credibility, and I don't think he should stoop to that level. Although Trump he's never really cared about, what he does as far as how it looks. It just does what he wants to do. So
true.
He's kind of like a bull in the China shop. So I don't know. I mean, like I said, he's done a lot of things that I thought were stupid, but like I said, he's president. He's a billionaire. He's got the hot super model wife. So I don't know about how much my advice really is going to be taken by a guy like that. But I really wanted to talk about his nuns, David Nunes, today. I mean, if you watch, any of you guys got YouTube, go Google to watch his opening remarks. I mean, he just skewered the media. I mean, it was wonderful. And he did what I've been talking about the Republicans should do for months anytime there's a hearing. I mean, he just went, and here's the media covering it, and he's just doing a total end run about against the whole mainstream media's like blackout of the right and the alt-right, and he just tore them up. And while I was watching it, I was just thinking, like, this is so great because, and I checked, CNN was covering it, all the networks were covering it, and here is David Nunes being given a platform because of Pelosi and because of Schiff, and just laying into the media, made them look, and he said things that I've never seen, that you haven't seen an attack on the media like that since Agnew, and it was great, and it was just hijacking the hearings, just like I've said the Republicans should do, and just going after your enemies, because his message never gets across the CBS airways. It never gets out there through ABC. It never gets out on CNN. And they were covering that hearing, so they had to just sit there and take it, and boy, was it wonderful. And that's what you got to do. And if you have another day like today, and I heard CBS stopped broadcasting after a while today because they're just going to say it's getting too boring. But really, the reason they're going to stop broadcasting it isn't going their way. And the Republicans are using the platform to get the message out, and that is wonderful. That's the best strategy they need to do, because, like I say, most people that are clued in on our side don't realize it, but most people don't get to hear our message at all. You know,
Yes.
I mean, if you just watch the mainstream media and you're in that bubble, you know, this is the first time you'll ever hear about stuff like this. And that's why I'm just surprised that the left and the media and the Democrats will allow this platform, because it's kind of going to be like a mainstream into the consciousness of the American people. And I don't know I still can't believe they're taking this chance, because it's, you know, they have the power. They have a lock on the minds of maybe 70%, maybe 60% of the American people, and they're gonna take the risk, and they are. And I think for once I see the Republicans playing this the way it should be played, and I'm very happy to see it. I mean, to watch Nunes today was just remarkable, and I could just see their heads exploding. I could just guarantee all the executives, all the people were watching it were just, because here they go, and they're broadcasting it. You know, it was just canceling soap operas to get the American people to get a direct line of the truth, and it was just priceless. I don't know if you saw it. Did you see it, Mike?
No, I didn't get to see it. We had other things Claire and I had to get done today, but I'm glad to hear it. And the corporate media, you know, deserves it. They have completely forgotten the reason we have a free press in this country, and that is to keep the public informed about wrongdoing in government. That's the reason the Founding Fathers put that First Amendment in there, was to give the press the freedom to do the job they're supposed to be doing.
Oh, no, and it was just, it was like I said, it was just wonderful. And if you get a chance, like I said, I'm sure YouTube will play it later today. And it was just, I mean, he just attacked the media for 4 or 5 minutes. And once again, to have it going out on their own channels was just because normally Dave Nunes, he doesn't get a chance to say that on CBS or ABC. You know, you'll see him on Fox once in a while, but he was just, you know, he had, everybody was listening to him. And you were talking earlier about, you know, the incidents with the president and Bannon recommending that the whistleblower be fired. And I hope if President Trump goes back and deconstructs who these people are, who recommended them, who defended them, and then who was like telling them to watch out for them, and start looking at people like, I mean, he's been a president almost 3 years, and what he's got to do is deconstruct his presidency as far as who gave him this advice, who are people working for, you know, whose name keeps coming up as Pence, All these people. Pence was involved in the Flynn thing. Pence's aide was involved in the Ukraine thing. And I'm starting to think, whether it might just be bad luck, but President Trump should be careful of Pence. And then like Bannon was recommending this guy, Eric Cheramego or Chlamydia or whatever, be fired or not be kept on the national security team. And, that should give points to the President Trump when it comes to Bannon. I think, it's like me. It's like when people give me a lot of bad advice, I don't listen to them anymore. Or, you know what I'm saying? Or people keep stealing from me or trying to screw my girlfriend. I don't hang out with them anymore. And Trump's got to look back at these, it should be the same thing for presidential aides and people that work for him. He's got to start going through his files and say, well, who recommended that I hire this guy? Who recommended? Because there are people, they always recommend you, that's how it works. So, when he came in, so by now he should really have a good feel on who the rats are in his own administration. So I think he needs to really clean house. And when you were talking about JFK and all that, JFK had one good thing really going for him, and that was his brother, Robert. He could trust his brother,
Yes.
no matter what, with Cuban Missile Crisis or all that. He could close the door and throw everybody out of the room and talk to his brother and his father, too, and get some real advice, what was real, because they're his brother. They love him, so they're not going to allow any, and that's what Trump really needs to do now. He needs to go sort of in a war mentality because he is basically at war with the deep state. And he needs to get his real advisors down to a handful of people he can really, really trust, So, but that would be my advice to him. And also my advice to him is they're trying to kill you, Mr. Trump. They want to see your son raped by pedophiles, Mr. Trump. Take the gloves off, Mr. Trump, and pardon some people on the right and develop an alternative media. Invite him to press conferences and stuff. That's really bothersome that he just he's not. Let's go to the mattresses. This is a war now. They're trying to impeach. I mean, I watch these hearings just because, boy, it's wall-to-wall deep state. It's really these people just. It's really unbelievable what an education this is about how the deep state operates. This lieutenant colonel today was a deep state disaster to me. I mean, I just look at him like he doesn't even know his place. His chain of command is deep state. It has nothing to do with the president. It was just unbelievable. But it's good for it's a good show. I think anybody that's not totally propagandized can see right through it. And once again, I like seeing the Republicans hijack the media and the coverage. It's just great. It's not just Nadler. Schiff, they're doing it to Schiff too, and they don't know what to do. It's just wonderful to watch. So.
Well, I think the problem that we're dealing with right now is the Democrats are in too deep. They can't just back off and say we changed our mind. They're feeling they have to go all the way, even though they may be riding on the Titanic.
Well, I think my theory now is that what they're going to do is figure a way to stall it, and then keep it alive but stalled. And then if Ginsburg starts dying or something, they can rev it up and say, oh well, he can't pick a Supreme Court judge while the impeachment inquiry is going on, and that'll be their tactic. And I think that's their smartest move to do right now because this isn't going anywhere. Just find an excuse to stall it and just say, well, we're going to delay it until after Christmas, the holidays, say whatever. I think that because right now this is going to guarantee Trump, not only Trump be elected, but the House going to Trumpians, not Republicans, but Trumpians. And that'll be a disaster for them anyway. For us, it'll be great, I hope. But anyway. That's what I think. That's what I'll give them the free advice. Hey, Democrats, if you have any brains, you just suspend this. Just say we're going to suspend. Figure out some excuse for it, and then you could start it up when Ginsburg comes around when she dies, because I think that might be part of the background. And the other thing, when you brought up that guy Ed Buck and Schiff, maybe they're holding that over Schiff's head, the deep state, to get him to do this. I mean, he might know he's got a losing case too.
Well, I'm hearing that more and more Democrats are wishing this hadn't been started because they're concerned that it is, in fact, going to work against them in next year's elections.
Well, there's another theory, and that is that Pelosi is letting it happen, and if it went great for her, good. But if she pulls the plug on it, she can blame like the left, the ones that really pushed this whole impeachment thing, and get more of a moderate Democratic Party up for the election. So that because she knows that the lefties, Artazio Cortez's and the Sheila Jackson Lee's, all these hardcore leftists are destroying their chances. So maybe if she has a flop impeachment hearing, she can switch it over and get more moderate Democrats, get moderates to be the face of the Democratic Party before the election.
Okay, Joe, gotta let you go. Joe, sorry, we got to do a break for commercials. We'll be right back.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, keep it today.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
Don't regret growing old. It's a privilege denied to many. Heart disease is taking our youth from us. Young people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond are dying needlessly. One of the hardest messages I've ever had to deliver is to convince people that something natural like Extendivite should be taken as a preventative measure. I'm sure you heard an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Extendivite is that ounce. Take Extendivite for 1 year and see what your doctor has to say and how much better you feel. Herbs take time to address the problem. It took years of life to have a problem. Give Extendivite 1 year to fix the problem. Don't wait until it's too late. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com or visit us on Amazon.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When all this twisted steel was swept away, did these remaining holes reveal what really happened?
And aloha, America. Welcome back to the show. We're going to go back to the phones to Tom in Connecticut. Aloha, Tom. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, Mike. I have a very dear friend who's 84. He's still a practicing psychologist. And we go back and forth about the state of our political process, and he hates Trump, which is understandable. And he says, "Do you really like him?" I said, "I don't. No, but in a particular way, consider this. He is the untarnished version of what politics is. He has no filters. All these people who hide behind their political blather and their party affiliations are probably equally as dysfunctional as he is, only he wears it on his friggin' sleeve, right? So to the extent that all this information is coming out about the weaponization of the intelligence community, put forth by Obama, or however you want to pull those strings, is that any better because they thought they didn't want him in office, or they were in the right, which is classic anyway? What do you do with that whole equation? And he's kind of nodded his head and says, well, you kind of have a point. And just to see this whole thing play out this way, this vindictive nature of like, we didn't win, so we're going to do everything unbelievably that is unprecedented to try and undermine this man, to try and get him out of office in whatever fashion we can. And I think it's really tragic.
Well, the part I still can't figure out is why they're going to that trouble. Trump has given them virtually everything that they wanted. He backed off the immigration. He backed off cleaning up the elections. He's backed off his promise to end all of these foreign interventions. And I keep coming back to the conclusion that all of this that we're seeing the Democrats do to get Trump out of office may all be coming down from Hillary Clinton, who just can't get over the fact that she's lost twice.
Correct. That is the point I was going to follow up on, because this seems to be this vindictive cloud of like, I lost and I'm going to make you have pain now because I can. And screw the country, screw anything that's necessary to be done to help any part of the population, we're going to go after you.
Yes.
And that's my opinion of the whole thing.
Well, if Hillary is planning on stepping into the 2020 race and she's running out of time to make that decision because she has to file the paperwork for certain primaries, she doesn't want to run against Trump again. She couldn't beat him last time, even with massive election fraud.
No, run her into a meat grinder like she did before, because she can't handle his technique of saying what actually is.
Okay, well, Tom, I'm going to have to let you go. We got to take a break for station identification, and we'll be right back.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcasts. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
You're listening to Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. The history the government hopes you never learn. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
Okay, welcome back to the show. Hour number 2. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. And we're going to go back to the phones to Tom in Florida. Aloha, Tom. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, Michael, good day to you. Aloha. Yeah, Michael.
Aloha.
Yesterday you have this guy, what's his caller, Lenny, and he calls in. There's twice now. He's like been condescending, talking about bringing my wife. You don't have to be bringing my wife into anything, okay? My wife is, first off, she's an American, and she believes in legal immigration, not illegal immigration. So let's get that straight with that guy, okay? And he don't like some of the things I have to say. I'm sorry about that, but you don't have to get that personal. I hope you don't because I don't need that. Hear that nonsense. Okay, she's an American first. She believes in legal immigration, not illegal immigration. So that's what he needs to understand. Okay, and I'm not going to be on the phone long today because I got to take care of something real quick, Mike. But I saw some on the news today about DACA, and I wanted to hear your opinion about what do you think is going to happen with this DACA situation with the Supreme Court, and what they were talking about. Before I let you ask that, to explain that to me, Michael, is I noticed when a DACA kid goes, if he wants to come to Florida from the state of, like, say, Texas or Arizona or Louisiana, he can get college for the same price as a person that's from that state. But if I were to go to an American citizen to go from the state of Florida to, say, like New Jersey, you would have to pay the 3 times the amount to go to college up there. You know about that?
Yeah. The immigrants are getting better treatment from the U.S. Government than legal American citizens are, and that should just not be happening.
Absolutely. They were talking also in the Herald here in Broward County paper. We got a Centennial.
Yes.
They were talking about this about 3 weeks ago. I was listening to this show, and they had a guy from that newspaper talking about that the DACA recipients, now that they've been here for 12 years and they got this, good education they can go back to their country and make them better. But one guy said, if that's not the solution should be that they go serve in the military for at least a minimum of 8 years. What do you think about that, Michael? They go to the military for 8 years, and then they can get on their way to citizenship. What do you think?
Well, I don't know about 8 years, but I know that in the original DACA plan, serving in the military was one of the pathways to get to being a legal citizen. That hasn't worked out, by the way.
Yeah, because, like you just said a minute ago, they're getting all these freebies better than American citizens, and that's absurd to me. So, if they learned another language, they can go back to their countries where they originally were from and make those countries better. That's how I think it should go down.
Well,
now you've got another language.
Some of them may be thinking that, but the rest are thinking, hey, here I get free stuff. I can make a bunch of money and send a lot of it back to my family back home. And of course, that is a huge bleed on our already overstressed economy.
Yep. Yeah, and one more thing, Michael, and I'll let you go. I got one more thing, Michael. That it's a proven fact that the money these people are sending out never comes back to this country, and that's why I want to leave you with that thought. All this money these illegals are sending back never comes back to the United States. All right, Michael, thank you.
All right, thanks an awful lot, and good luck with your puppy there. We're going to switch over to David in Iceland. Aloha, David. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello, Mike. Thank you. I just want to tell you that Julian Assange, even though he is in jail, people are still telling the truth and leaking out information. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. You're on the air.
Yeah, okay, thank you. I just want to tell you about the new leak that got out from, there was an Icelandic whistleblower who was working for a businessman who was robbing, the people in Namibia.
Yeah.
And they were bribing officials there, and two of them in the highest in government have resigned from office.
Yes.
And two of them have, I think, left the country, went over to South Africa. And their accounts have been frozen and everything. And this has not been getting attention in the news. It was funny that Julian Assange, he's been charged with something in Sweden, and when they drop the charges, it goes all over the news. But when officials in another country resigns because of the leaks from WikiLeaks, it gets almost no attention. So I just want to point that out, and maybe people will like to go to WikiLeaks Twitter and take a look there. There's a lot of information about this, and there's a bunch of headlines. And if this goes out, if it gets trending by the people, then the Icelandic government, they're not going to do anything about this. They're going to wait for the foreign press. If they will start doing something, then they will react. Not until. They were putting up guidelines today. It's like all the usual things. Yeah, we're going to be transparent and blah 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 blah. And then came out, we're going to watch the foreign media, and if they will do something, then we will maybe react. So I hope people will take a look at this. So if it gets trending and, the people are talking about it and maybe posting something about this and talking about it,
yep.
When it gets exposed, then something happens. Okay. That's my opinion.
Well,
Okay,
it's a
thank
good
you.
opinion,
Bye-bye.
and you're absolutely right. And I think, there is a desire within our media and the government that WikiLeaks not be given any credibility as part of the campaign to demonize Julian Assange.
Yeah, but the truth will still come out. Even if we kill a Julian Assange, there will still be whistleblowers, and they will just find another way.
Yes.
That's the whole thing. Yeah.
Well, I
And
think the
hope
reason they're
someone
going after Julian Assange is they want to chill the idea of being a whistleblower.
Yeah, I think that's not possible. They're trying to kill Jesus. It doesn't make, if you make a martyr out of someone, it makes the people even angrier.
Yes.
That's the thing. Yes. And I hope someone will, who is listening to me right now, because my English is not very good, and maybe people will take a look at this and dive into it or something. And because there's a lot of angles in this.
Yes.
This guy who's the owner of the company, he was one of the big, owners of the banks, and he kept robbing us blind until, the Icelandic financial system just went bankrupt. These people, they can't stop.
They're money
That's
addicts,
my point.
money junkies.
Yeah, I know. Okay, thank you. And I hope someone will pick it up and carry this. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you very much for the phone call.
Good
We're
to
going to
hear from
let
you.
you go. We're going to do a shout out to our on-air affiliates who are just now rejoining the network. Getting on back to the news and getting on back to Great Britain. Apparently, there's a power struggle going on inside Buckingham Palace. And basically, Sir Christopher Geit, who was the Queen's private secretary and by virtue of that office, was the most senior advisor. He's been forced out of his job in this power struggle over Prince Charles' demands for extra royal duties ahead of his succession to the throne. Apparently, he wants to get out there and be seen being the crown prince. And apparently, the Queen is saying, no, I'm still the Queen, and you mind your manners until I die or I abdicate. So apparently things are very, very tense over there. And again, this is going to add more fuel to the fire of those who think that Great Britain doesn't need a royal family anymore. Royal families are outdated. So let's talk about Jeff Epstein. He is still in the news. Pretty lively for supposedly a dead guy here. And the FBI is investigating whether a criminal enterprise was involved in Jeffrey Epstein's death. So the FBI has already ruled out the suicide theory. And their FBI is looking into a possible criminal enterprise involved in the death. And according to Fox News, Federal Bureau of Prisons Director Kathleen Hawk Sawyer testified on Capitol Hill on Tuesday, revealing the FBI is looking at a criminal enterprise. Now, 2 federal workers who were on duty the night Jeff Epstein supposedly killed himself were charged today in connection with their alleged failure to check on him every half hour and then falsifying the records to make it look like they had been on the job doing what they were supposed to do. So they're going to court. Let's see, Tova Noel and Michael Thomas are in custody, and they're being charged for falsifying documents. Okay. Now, Jeffrey Epstein accuser Maria Farmer says that Ghislaine Maxwell threatened her life. And the FBI basically failed her. Now, Ghislaine herself is involved in a legal fight to prevent the names on the Epstein documents from being released, and she's petitioned the court for a 1-month extension, which I guess is how long it's going to take for the rest of the documents to get shredded or edited. But U.S. District Judge Loretta A. Priskin in August ordered the release of more than 2,000 previously sealed documents from alleged Epstein victim Virginia Roberts. And there was a defamation lawsuit against Maxwell. Attorneys for Giuffre have fought to have the court unseal significantly more pages, while Maxwell's lawyers have tried to basically stymie the process. They're out there trying to protect the guilty here. All righty, let's see. We're going to take a phone call now from Mark in North Carolina. Aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Aloha, Mike. Mike, you know, why I'm not surprised. You're going to blame, again, the ruling class is going to blame a couple of blue-collar, you know, working men for Epstein. Okay? They kid nobody, especially me. Because, you know, like I said, I told you, Mike, I worked in a maximum security prison. I've done suicide watches. And the way I heard this woman describe the suicide watch in the federal system is very much similar to what I dealt with. 24 hours to guys, you know, no clothes at all, nothing, you know, bare naked. He gets a special kind of a blanket that he can't commit suicide on. And that's
paper.
Okay? Then he goes on, huh?
I said the blanket is made out of paper. If he tries to hang himself with it, it'll tear.
No, not that blanket. There's a different type of blanket you use. I forget what it's made out of. But it's impossible to, you know, kill yourself with. It's so made up of certain material. You can't tear it apart, and you can't put it around your neck or anything like that. Later on, he gets a lighter blanket when he goes into the other area. So now, what she described too. After that, you go into where you do get some underpants, and you get a couple other privileges, and still in a cell, but you're still under close watch. That's where Epstein was. Okay, no way. And then you're going to tell me the 2 officers just fell asleep together simultaneously, and then the camera stopped working? I mean, they really think we're stupid. They really think we're absolutely stupid. That's impossible. Okay? Now, I don't know what the deal is with these 2 officers. Are they going to let themselves be made fall guys like this? Are they being threatened to something that they better, or maybe they'll line up like Epstein himself, or maybe is there money being passed under the table? Maybe money. I don't think they put it in their accounts because it'd be too obvious. But promising, or maybe a few $1 million if they go along with it, plead guilty to some BS charge, and then they'll be rich for the rest of their lives. I don't know. Anything is possible. But I'm telling you, Mike, this is totally unsatisfactory. But not that I didn't expect this. Another thing I expect very soon is this guy, the muscle man there. The 4 murders or something like that. The ex-cop there.
Yeah.
Somewhere down the line, I suspect that he's going to plead guilty to a minor charge and get time served. That's the next step. Okay.
Yes.
Because people all know something, and not only the Bureau of Prisons, the whole government wants to squash this as good as possible. But I don't really think they know what they're doing, because to come up with this garbage, I mean, how stupid do they think we are? I know I'm not that dumb, and there's plenty of other people who've worked in corrections and know the truth, know how it works. Okay.
Yeah.
Plenty. So and look, I got my own YouTube channel now. I'm going to make another video on this. People, I can't tweet anymore because they took my tweeting away. I've insulted too many people. I didn't really, not cursing them out, but just calling them cowardly neocon, chicken hawks, and stuff like that. People like Max Boot and what's his name, Zeb Gorka, and a few others, and Glenn Beck. And finally, they took me off, and they said you're suspended indefinitely. So that's okay. But now I got my YouTube channel, and I'm pushing that. All right, because I'm not going to be silent, and nobody else should be silent. We got to speak up. We got to pass around information. Okay, people got to be aware, not only the Epstein matter, but everything else. And the Epstein matter is related to so many other things, including our Middle Eastern policy. Okay, that it was blackmailed by the Mossad, probably with the knowledge of the CIA and approval of the CIA, and that's why that has to do with our Middle Eastern policy. It's keeping troops in these places. It started wars, probably behind the Iraq War. Very well could be behind 9/11 itself. This is serious stuff, Mike. This threatens the whole country. This threatens to destroy us. Okay? We got to get to the bottom of it. We really do. And by the way, as far as Hillary goes, I'll tell you why I don't think she's going to jump in anymore. I think Tulsi tore a new asshole the last time. When she's tried that stuff about Tulsi being a Russian asset, Tulsi went after her the way no Democrat ever really went after her. Called the queen of warmongering and corruption. And, I think that kind of shook Hillary up. I don't think she wants to deal with that. I really don't. I think that she saw what she did to her girlfriend there, Kamala Harris. I'm talking about Hillary's girlfriend there. I call Kamala Harris basically Hillary with a little more pigment. Okay? She's just as nasty and just as vicious. All right? So she saw what she did there, and she saw when she had the nerve to call her a Russian asset, the way she came back at her. I'm telling you. And that's another thing too. If you watch these hearings, I haven't paid too much attention, but I was just at the gym, and it's on the TV there and all that. So I was on a fake news channel and a crap news channel, and it's all about Russia. That's what this thing is. They want a certain Ukraine policy to favor Ukraine against Russia and all that, and Trump was hesitant to go along with it. That's what this whole thing is about. What they don't realize is this. If Russia wanted Ukraine, they could have it probably in a day. I don't think it would take more than about a day to conquer the whole place. Okay? They don't want it. Yep. Russia doesn't want those problems. They don't need that. There's too much. They don't need to deal with a corrupt nation like that. They're getting themselves back together after the 1990s. What happened in the 1990s? Thanks to the swindlers, their own swindlers and swindlers from other countries like ours. Okay? They want to get their country together. That's all they're interested in doing. Okay? They're not interested in taking over the Ukraine. It was a different thing with Crimea because Crimea was always part of Russia. But they need to keep that seaport too. But that's the whole thing. Provoke. And you know what? I'll tell you this, Mike. I'm not a military expert, but the little I do know about militaries and stuff like that, and I do know my history, and I was a military myself, I don't think NATO would last more than a couple of days if the war ever broke out, the land war in Russia. Because I think Russia's overrun the place. Now the question is, would the nukes get started after that?
Yeah,
That's
that's the big black story. All right, well, listen, I have to let you go. We got to take another break for commercials. Back with more news after these few words.
Hey, this check is wrong. I worked a holiday and 7 hours of overtime. Not getting paid correctly is a real pain. It could also hurt our boss if our company provides out-of-compliance checks. That's right, construction companies doing business with the government can get fined, or officials of the companies can go to jail if the checks aren't right. It's a law. The Davis-Bacon Act has 30 compliance issues for every check. But there is an easy way for construction companies to be in compliance. EMARS offers Compliant Client, a web-based system that finds and corrects all 30 of the possible out-of-compliance check issues. Users of Compliant Client report an 80% savings in time and money. Running a weekly payroll usually takes about 5 minutes. All 15,000 plus clients of EMARS have never had a legal compliance issue. Plus, they sleep better on check day. Contact EMARS at emarsinc.com or call 480-595-0466.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
Well, they're stealing down on Wall Street and in Washington, too. You know, it makes me wonder, what's a guy on Main Street to do? I've always tried to be an honest, upstanding kind of guy. But I must admit lately, I thought about giving something else a try. Oh, I want to be a pirate. I want to sail the 7 seas, yeah, I want to be a pirate.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. And as you know, recently there were elections in several states which are already showing problems, and that includes right here in the state of Indiana. Apparently, nearly 2,000 ballots were not counted in one Indiana county, and they finally brought them into the tally, and the outcome of the vast majority of elections was unaffected. But apparently, town council candidates in Dublin, Pamela Cheney and Leonard Payne Sr., are tied at 45 votes each. And apparently the town council has until December 31st to figure out how to break the tie. I don't know, maybe a steel cage death match? It does show our election system is a total mess. And that election system, the voting system, democracy, is held up aloft as one of the proofs that we're this great nation. And it's not. It's a joke. Now, this looks like it probably was an honest mistake, but it was a mistake. Okay, so let's talk about the economic news here for a while. Apparently, under the pressure of high taxes, high prices, and the growing homeless and illegal immigrant population, there's a mass exodus taking place from California. Californians are moving to Nevada, where they can find a better life. And with that loss of tax revenue, the state of California is in serious, serious trouble. All right, the U.S. national debt spiked by $1.3 trillion in 12 months to a total of $23 trillion. But according to this article in Investment Watch blog, they're asking who bought this pile of Treasury securities? Because I can't imagine anybody around the world thinking that these are still a good investment. There's a Treasury bond bubble out there. And Treasury bonds are supposed to be redeemed out of taxpayer money. I think the Federal Reserve is just creating money out of thin air, and they're buying up these Treasury bonds. So, former Trump official calls for a conservative case for student loan forgiveness. I think it would be a really good idea. These kids got suckered into going to college with promises that that degree would land them a high-paying job and they'd be able to pay off that student loan, in just a few years. It didn't happen. The high-paying jobs have all gone to other countries or been taken over by H-1B visa holders, and they're stuck. There are a lot of college graduates who are still living with their parents. Alrighty. Over in Iran, they're having these riots. We talked about them earlier. And apparently the rioters burned down Iran's central bank. It's a big old bonfire out there. Now, up in Canada, I'm sorry, not Canada, CNBC is being very careful to admit that owning GLD, exchange-traded funds, is not the same thing as owning the physical gold. They've relied on a lot of people thinking that this exchange-traded fund is denominated in gold. The advertising certainly seems to imply it rather strongly, but it isn't. It's not based on physical gold. That could be a big, big mistake. Not too long ago, Russia wrote off all of Africa's debt, about $20 billion worth of debt African countries had accumulated. And everybody's saying, why did Russia do this? I mean, $20 billion, that's a lot of scratch out there. Well, it basically shows that the Russians are looking to restore relations with countries on the African continent. That certainly is a very good way to start. You know, everywhere the U.S. goes, they plunge the nation into debt to keep them under control, to keep them slaves. Russia just basically issued a declaration, we don't play that way. We're all about, peace through commerce. We want to do business with each other. We don't need to own you. I think the Africans are going to respond to that. Meanwhile, as if the trade war with China wasn't bad enough, Japan and Korea have fired up their own trade war. And I can't say much for their timing. This is going to further muddy the international trade. All right, we got to take another break here for commercials, and we'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
How healthy are your arteries? Deteriorating circulation has a number of early warning signs. High cholesterol, high blood pressure, fingers and or toes often go cold, arms and or legs often go to sleep, sharp diagonal crease in the earlobe, short walks cause cramping or pains in legs, memory is not as good as it used to be, ankles swell late in the day, chest pain after physical exercise or emotional stress. If you experience even one of these symptoms, your circulatory system is crying out for attention. Extendivite is a natural solution to help improve your overall health. Extendivite is not your average heart tonic. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com or find us on Amazon.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. And we're going to take a phone call from Ron in the Bronx. Aloha, Ron. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Who's your daddy, Mike? Hey, I wanted to discuss the whole Egypt issue. I think you touched base on it yesterday.
Yes.
Now, Egypt, isn't their aid and Jordan's aid tantamount to a bribe just for them to recognize Israel? I haven't read too much about it. I read it years ago. I think I got it from your site. It's we're basically bribing them with aid that I'm not sure, I don't even think they pay back, just to recognize Israel as a state.
Well, anytime foreign aid is given to another country, yeah, it's a form of a bribe, and the United States does expect a quid pro quo. And in a lot of the countries in the Mideast, U.S. aid is tied to the recognition of Israel.
Okay, and so they don't have to really pay it back, right? They don't pay back that aid.
No, they never pay back. The aid is never paid back. It's not a loan. It's a gift.
Okay. Hey, me and Mark, we worked together years ago here in New York City in law enforcement. I think he mentioned it before. And you talk about a testosterone, Republican, conservative, pro-military, pro-war environment. You can't get it anywhere, Mike, than in a law enforcement job. But I wanted to also tell you about, there was an article in by Lou Rockwell called "Thank You for What," and it's about Veterans Day. And, it's like, it gets back to like, what are we thanking veterans for? It's at a time now with social media and all the sources of information that, you're fighting, you're going to the military, you're fighting for Israel, the Saudis, Wall Street, the defense industry, big pharma, oil companies, and the rest of the military industrial complex. In these illegal wars of conquest and aggression. I stole that from this guy named Mike Rivero. In imperialistic wars of conquest and aggression. To me, it's like come to a time like, guys, like, and I said it to a couple of my buddies, that are, ex-military, and, it's like the Matrix, man, or the jumping down the rabbit hole, like they can't take it. It's to the point where I can't thank them for their service no more. It's like, you should know who you're fighting for, and you're not fighting for our rights or the Constitution. It's the interest of the people I mentioned.
Well,
if you get a chance, Mike, Lou Rockwell, thank you for what I think. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I disagree with Lou Rockwell on this because those people who are in the uniforms in the war zones, they have been told they are fighting for America, for our freedom against an evil enemy that wants to destroy us and so forth. They've been lied to as much as the American people about the real reasons for the war. And so I see the veterans as being victims of the U.S. government along with the rest of us. And so while we can blame the civilian leadership for some of this, hang on a second.
Right.
Okay. We can blame the civilian leadership and the corporate interests for getting us into these wars here. But I don't hold it against those who went to fight, because they went to fight with the very best of motives. And I see them as victims as much as anybody else involved in the war. And so I do thank the veterans for their service. And it's going to take them a while to realize what was really going on. Have you ever read an essay called "War's a Racket" by Major General Smedley Butler?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And,
Mike, I feel sorry for those disenfranchised kids, especially from the deep South, and they're very poor. I know a lot of them, and that's all they have, man, is the military. Those are the ones I really feel sorry for. There's nowhere left to turn for them. And then there's the other kids that do it for the GI Bill. I mean, I do feel, have sympathy, or, I'm not like, F you, veteran. I'm not like that at all, but, it's like you said, it's those people that, that are taken in by the, the celebrations on the football field. It's all a marketing tool. It's a ploy,
Sure.
Support your troops, Like, hey, if I can't make it on the football field or a baseball diamond, hey, they're cheering for those troops out there running. Maybe I could join up. It's like, it's just terrible, I think. And like I said, it's those kids in the, that are poor, the disenfranchised. And those are the ones that are usually on the front. Those are the ones that are in the front lines, actually,
Yep.
Like, you'll make a good Marine, minesweeper. Yeah. All right, Mike. Thanks, man. Keep up the good work, man. Appreciate it.
All right, I will.
And, Mark is over there enjoying.
If you've never read it before, Mark Twain wrote a story called "The War Prayer," and he instructed that it not be published until after his death. And his reason was he told the truth in it, and in the world that Mark Twain knew, only dead people could be 100% truthful. So if you haven't read that, definitely you want to look that up.
All right, I'll Google it. And you know what? Me and you are freezing our butts off here while Mark is enjoying that Texas heat. Check out some of his videos on YouTube, man. It's like, it's like summertime over there almost.
Well, it's not too bad
I don't know
right
if you
now. I
think
mean, the temperature went up this week here. We've got a little light rain falling, but there is another one of those polar vortexes on the way.
All right, Mike, once again, keep up the good work. We love you. Bye.
All right, thanks an awful lot. I'm going to keep going as long as I can. Okay, getting on back to the economic news. This idea of a cashless society is being pushed by the globalists and the bankers. It basically means that all the money would be in a bank somewhere, and you were only allowed to move it from one account to another, from your account to the supermarket's account and so forth. And it's a way of basically keeping the banks liquid at a time when most people, if there was cash available, would be pulling it out of the bank and sequestering it away someplace in their home ahead of a possible collapse of the system. And apparently there is word coming on down that China may be moving ahead with their war on cash and a cashless society for the Chinese people. And it's just another way of maintaining control on them, along with their social credit system and all the rest of it. All righty. Now, Donald Trump had an unscheduled meeting with the Federal Reserve chairman and apparently discussed this idea of negative rates. Well, there's a problem with negative rates. They're just discounting money. And it basically comes down to, I give you $100 and somewhere down the road, you give me back 95. And eventually everybody goes broke. So you just think about that one for a while here. Over in Great Britain, because of their floods, food prices are going to skyrocket. The floods have ruined crops, the winter vegetables, and it's going to delay the spring planting because the ground's going to be too saturated. The same thing that happened here in the U.S. Earlier this year. And again, you may want to think, first of all, develop really good habits of not wasting food, possibly getting a chest freezer and starting to stockpile now, because there's going to be a food crisis. Nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to admit it, but there's going to be a food crisis. Now, over in Hawaii, we can always eat the tourists, but in other parts of the country, it's a little more difficult. Apparently, the United States is now starting on a program of farm bailouts because of the loss of business with all the China tariffs. Boy, they've just messed this country up. They just really, really have. Okay. Trump has finally kept one of his many campaign promises. He is now going to force hospitals to publicly publish a price list for the services they offer so that consumers can make informed choices. One of the ways that hospitals have been working ever since the Health Maintenance Organization Act was signed by Richard Nixon is you'll go to the hospital, you'll get treated, you don't know what it's going to cost until it's all over and they hand you that bill, at which point you suffer a heart attack and wind up having to pay even more than that. Over at the Vatican, their financial regulator has resigned in wake of a probe into the opaque Holy See investment venture. And apparently Vatican police searched their headquarters, seizing documents in connection with an investigation into the Holy See's investment in a London real estate venture that had sparked suspicions. So that's why the Pope is out there talking about climate change and everything. We've got yet another scandal on their hands here. Okay, it is official. Boeing 737 has lost the title of the world's most popular jet to the Airbus A320. And we're hearing all these stories about flight crews for the airlines saying, we don't want to serve on that aircraft. I mean, it's really, really tarnished, and I don't think they're going to get that back. between that the problems with the MAX version and then discovering the cracks in the wing structure in so many of the other airplanes. Everybody's really, really upset about that. Okay, let's talk about immigration and globalism. According to Pew, according to Pew Research, Europe is hosting at least 3.9 million illegal immigrants. And they're saying it could be as high as 4.8 million. And Europe is experiencing this high level of immigration, driving the debate about how countries should deal with immigrants when it comes to social services, security issues, deportation policies, and immigration efforts. I say take them back to the border and fling them back across. Apparently, the globalists are now out there talking about population control. They think there's too many of us poor people. And the thing, I'll be the first to admit, there are a lot of humans. And it's always going to be a problem because sex is a lot more fun than dying. But I don't think just because somebody has a ton of money, that gives them the right to go out and play God and say these people can't be allowed to reproduce anymore. And yet that's precisely what has happened. So remember, population control and eugenics have been longtime hobbies of the financial elites. In the 1900s, the Rockefeller Foundation and the Carnegie Institute were deeply involved in promoting eugenics laws in the U.S. This led to the forced sterilization of over 60,000 American citizens in states like California and thousands of rejected marriage licenses. Excuse me. And the eugenics program in the U.S. Were basically the inspiration for what Adolf Hitler did in Nazi Germany later on. In fact, Hitler was corresponding with some of the leading lights of the American eugenics movement. Now, because of what Hitler did in Germany, giving eugenics and population control a bad image, they stopped after the end of World War II, but it looks like they want to bring it back. All righty. Over at the Supreme Court, in response to the anti-gun hysteria, the Supreme Court has decided to allow a lawsuit filed by the alleged victims of the Sandy Hook massacre to move forward in suing Remington Arms Company, the manufacturer of the firearms supposedly used by Adam Lanza to commit mass murder. Now, Remington made the argument that the Protection of Lawful Commerce in Arms Act of 2005 effectively shielded the company from liability in the event that its products were misused. The Supreme Court has declined to comment on the matter, which means the case has been given the green light to proceed. Now, this stands in stark contrast to the vaccine industry, which is fully protected against all liability involving injuries and deaths caused by their products. Meanwhile, Remington is facing serious legal risk simply for selling firearms to the American public. That's a really messed up set of priorities. I mean, if you look at the number of people who are injured or killed outright by vaccines, it's a huge number. It's like a 737 crashing every single day. Out in California, those poor people there may be going through yet another blackout. PG&E may shut off power tomorrow to 180,000 homes and businesses. It's time to turn PG&E back into a publicly held utility. Privatization has been a disaster. All righty. Facebook keeps giving in to the liberal groups And liberal groups just keep asking for more and more. And they sent Facebook another letter, basically saying Facebook should get rid of stockholders who are conservatives. And that's how ridiculous this whole thing is getting. Okay. I got to tell you, Christmas used to be a time that brought out the best in people. And it seems to be having the opposite effect right now. Over in the town of Durham, New Hampshire, town council has now canceled tree lighting, street decorations, after a citizen complains that Christmas decorations are offensive. This in the state whose state motto is live free or die. All right, we're going to take a break for commercials, and we'll be right back.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcast. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
The reviews for Extendivite are amazing. Here are some from Amazon. By Christine, great for heart palpitations. By Anne, before I started using this product, every afternoon my ankles and my hands would be swollen. That doesn't happen anymore. So if that part of their advertising is true, I have to assume that the rest of it is also. Not to mention that when I had my yearly blood test, only a few weeks after beginning to use this product, my cholesterol had dropped over 30 points. I'm going to continue to take it. By Croc, I love this product. It really works. By Brad, works great, thank you. Tell us your story. Get your Extendivite today. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Hey, is that a new music app?
Yeah, check it out. Surfer Music Discovery. It links to thousands of online stations, but the twist is you see the song names and artists that are now playing live.
That's different. No guessing. Looks like a waterfall of music.
So many formats. Rock, oldies, country, R&B, jazz, and a whole lot more.
How's that spelled?
Surfer. S-U-R-F-R.
Is it expensive?
It's free. No need to sign up or sign in.
Get the Surfer Music app free from Google Play or the App Store.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
What this country is coming to, I sure would like to know. If they don't do something by and by, the rich will live and the poor will die. Doggone, the panic is on. Can't get no way, can't draw no pay. Unemployment gets
And aloha, America. Welcome back to the show. We're sort of mired in PC Christmas. Apparently over in Great Britain, this mother is blasting her daughter's school, for casting her daughter, who's 6 years old, as the innkeeper's wife in the Nativity, saying it's sexist and she shouldn't be identified in terms of her relationship to a man. And so this mother went ballistic, started posting on all kinds of social media. All right, what is the name of the innkeeper's wife? We'll put that in the program. I don't know. Well, how are we going to describe this character then? It's like tearing our own culture and civilization apart with all of this nonsense. Apparently, there's a union of British academics says that it's okay, you can identify as any race and sex. Being slammed is nonsensical. But the UK Universities and Colleges Union is the fact that you can just declare yourself black, disabled, or female. Put out a report, UCU position on trans inclusion. That's the latest buzzword, trans inclusion. So you can go on over there and claim you're disabled, don't have to demonstrate it. Get special privileges and treatments for that. Or black, get preferential treatment for that. I mean, if Elizabeth Warren had claimed she was an Indian over there in Great Britain, there wouldn't have been a big deal. All right. Over in Tennessee, there is a trans species man who has abandoned his family and gone to live naked in the forest, saying that he's actually a squirrel trapped in a man's body. Psychiatrists actually have a name for this. It's called clinical lycanthropy. It's just really silly. All right, now the other day, in fact, it was just yesterday, we talked about how the remake of Charlie's Angels has bombed at the box office. And the director's saying it's all the fault of sexist men who can't stand to see a beautiful woman in an action movie. Well, the original Charlie's Angel TV series was a huge hit, including with men. John Nolte has come on out. He's actually seen the movie, and he says it's nothing but an hour and a half of Charlie's Angels lecturing the audience on how bad men are, how unfairly women are being treated. People don't go to the movies to be lectured at. They go to the movies to have fun, to be entertained. And apparently, Ford versus Ferrari is cleaning up. It's about manly men and cars that burn fossil fuels. And it's a big hit. We'll be right back after these few words.
It happens more often than we can imagine. In my case, I was sitting at home, and out of nowhere, I just started feeling uncomfortable. Then it got worse, and I started perspiring. I tried to ignore it, but I waited too long. The chest pain came as we were driving to the hospital emergency. I felt my life clock begin to tick. I barely survived. There was lots of damage done to my heart. What do I do now? I was lucky. I took a leap of faith and tried a 7-herb formula with hawthorn, garlic, cayenne, and more called Extendivite. Herbs have been used for thousands of years to keep us healthy. If you're not using Extendivite as a preventative supplement, maybe it's time to start. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
This is RBN, the Republic Broadcasting Network.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero, because World War III is a really bad idea. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here, hour number 3. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. And getting on back to the news, we were talking about Charlie's Angels. And it's the 5th woke-tard franchise to die at the box office. And you have to wonder what these studio executives are thinking moving forward with these projects. People don't want to see them. They don't want to go into a movie theater and be screamed at that they're bad people. Now, Angels is a failure because it features unappealing actresses who are more interested in lecturing us than showing us a good time or a good adventure. Film's trailers promised a pretentious feminist lecture full of man-hating, and sexist movie delivers just exactly that. Okay, Chick-fil-A has caved in to the rage mob. They are no longer going to donate to charities that are perceived as being anti-LGBT. And they're going to pay a price for it, because the people who stopped going there because of their sort of left-hand support for the anti-LGBT crowd are still not going to go there. And the people who went there to support Chick-fil-A for taking a stand against the PC police, they're not going to go anymore. Probably feeling very, very betrayed. And so I think Chick-fil-A has been a resounding success. I think they just threw that away here. All right, talking about computers here a little bit, Microsoft is now joining Google and Mozilla in adopting the DNS over HTTPS data security protocol. And this is a new protocol that's coming on out, and it's increasing the likelihood of it becoming a default internet standard. And Microsoft engineers confirmed plans to adopt DOH as a default, explaining that it would close one of the last remaining plain text domain name transmissions in common web traffic. Now, the ISPs are very upset about this because they'll no longer be able to see their own customers' traffic. They won't be able to data mine it and sell the information to advertisers, which they didn't have our permission to do to begin with. But this war between good people using computers and bad people using computers has really gone on too far. And it's something that's kind of proving the ineptness of the government, because if they can't track down these hackers and cyber criminals, then no way are they going to be able to win a cyber war against a nation state. It's just not going to happen. Down in Louisiana, their state government was hit by ransomware, forcing a server shutdown, or server shutdowns, plural. And apparently it was a large-scale coordinated ransomware attack which forced the state to take several state agency servers offline, including the government websites, email systems, and other internal applications, to mitigate the risk of the malware's infection from spreading. So apparently this included the Office of the Governor, the Office of Motor Vehicles, the Department of Health, the Department of Children and Family Services, and the Department of Transportation and Development. So the whole point of ransomware is payment has to be made. And you're supposed to send Bitcoins or some other cryptocurrency off to a cryptocurrency wallet. Well, obviously, that is the weak point in the hackers' plans, because at some point, all the police have to do is show up at these cryptocurrency wallets with a warrant and say, we need to know who the owner of this particular wallet is. Here's the number they've been using. Where are they? They're not even doing that. It's like they're really so out of touch with the modern world, they can't think of these things. Macy's has been hit with a MageCart card skimming attack and a data breach. This one was actually inserted into their online payment portal system, and they found the code on 2 pages of the Macy's website, which means if you bought something from Macy's, your payment details were probably compromised. Okay. Apparently 10 organizations have announced the creation of the Coalition Against Stalkerware, the first global initiative of its kind, with the sole purpose of fighting against stalkerware. Now, stalkerware is also known as spouseware. It's a small category of spyware that abusive partners install on the devices of their loved ones without their knowledge or consent. Okay, we're going to do a shout out now to our on-air affiliates who are just now rejoining the network. So, social media censorship reaches a new high. Twitter permanently bans dissent. So, by this point, it should be very obvious the deep state is working hand in hand with Silicon Valley social media giants to control the flow of information, to control what you see and hear. Reminds me of the old Outer Limits show in the opening, you know, for the next 30 minutes, we will control all that you see and hear. Well, it was good on the Outer Limits. It's not so good in real life. More recently, it was revealed that Twitter's senior editorial executive for Europe, the Middle East, and Africa is an active officer in the British Army's 77th Brigade, a unit dedicated to online warfare and psychological operations. In other words, he's an expert at disseminating propaganda. All right. So let's talk about the weather and the climate. Like I said earlier, it's we're under a light rain here, but there's another polar vortex heading toward the U.S. It's expected to bring record-breaking cold to the Northeast, Upper Midwest, and the Great Lakes by the end of the week. It's going to be so cold it could give people frostbite in just 5 minutes. Take it seriously. National Weather Service tweeted that wind chill will be the coldest since the mid-1990s for some regions. And apparently some regions are already starting to see record-breaking cold. International Falls, Minnesota hit minus 46 degrees Fahrenheit on Sunday, its 5th lowest temperature on record. And the Weather Service in Des Moines, Iowa, stated, "This is the coldest air many of us will have ever experienced." Gosh darn that human-caused global warming. And they're expecting that it will reach down here to Indiana. So we're going to just bundle up warm. Another article here, Investment Watch blog, the coming big freeze. Big freeze is upon us. And they're predicting this winter will be much colder than the last one. We've had like 7, 8 winters getting colder and colder and colder and colder. These poor British people, they're already dealing with this flood-ravaged country. Now, interestingly enough, John Adams, when he set out to travel to Philadelphia, There was a foot of snow that covered the landscape. It made travel very treacherous. And beneath the snow, the ground was frozen solid to a depth of 2 feet. Of course, in the 1700s, we were still on the tail end of the Little Ice Age. And so what we're seeing here appears to be the beginning of a new Maunder minimum and a new little ice age. It's definitely coming. Very cold weather to hit Nevada on Wednesday, November 20th. That's tomorrow. Al Gore and his bought and paid for scientists have been lying all along, and they're still pushing global warming. And the reason for that is it's another form of taking control from you, of taking your money in carbon taxes and sending you instructions on how to live your life. And you would think after so many record cold winters that somebody would stand up and say, you know, this is all a lot of nonsense, this global warming stuff. Anyway. All right. Apparently, 2 more British companies have recalled their versions of the Zantac heartburn drug over fears they are contaminated with a cancer-causing chemical. Now, Ranitidine, the generic name of the branded heartburn drug, has been the subject of global drug recalls since September. Traces of a chemical linked to cancer, N-nitrosodimethylamine, say that 3 times fast, have been found in supplies of the medicine. Pharmacies have now been warned not to dispense these products produced by Creopharma and Tilomed Laboratories. They're not being very careful, are they? They just, whatever they've got, put it in the capsule, put it in the bottle, get it onto that pharmacy shelf. Apparently, a 3rd person in China has caught the plague, and they have now quarantined 28 people. So this is very serious stuff indeed. All righty, phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. And article here from governmentslaves.news. Internet freedom is declining around the world, and social media is to blame. I disagree with the last part of that. Governments are to blame. Governments do not like the internet. They don't like peer-to-peer communication. They don't like the fact that people like yours truly can get on a microphone and broadcast over the internet to point out where the government has messed up. So they're definitely trying to find ways to shut it down. Okay, NASA is confirming that liquid water is present under the ice of Jupiter's moon, Europa, reigniting the theory that there is an ocean twice the size of the ones on Earth hidden beneath the surface. Well, okay. And apparently they detected water geysers emanating from the surface of Europa. And right now there's kind of a little bit of a, shall we say, a contest going on at NASA, because there is a group of scientists who want to send a probe to Europa to tunnel down through the ice and look for life. And then there's the other group of scientists who are saying that we should go to Titan, because if we find life there, it's definitely going to be alien. That will be a major life-changing experience to know for a fact that there's life out there on the other planets in space. Those of us who worked on Viking, we kind of went through that back in 1976. All righty, let's see. Apparently, WeWork could lay off almost half of its employees this week. Oh, look, they finally caught one here. A U.S. court has sentenced the operator of a massive DDoS service to 13 months in prison. And Sergei Usatyuk, 21, from Orland Park, Illinois, was handed the term along with a $500,000 forfeiture order after pleading guilty early this year to one count of conspiracy to cause damage to internet-connected computers. He's going to have to serve 3 years of supervised release. And apparently this guy and an unnamed conspirator from Canada owned and operated a group of booter sites that offered for hire DDoS attacks. So you don't even have to write your own DDoS code. You just find one of these groups and giving them some money. But this is just one guy. And from the volume of cybercrime that's out there, there have to be thousands of these operators. Apparently over at Bose, they've put out an update to their TV sound bars, and customers are saying didn't fix anything. And apparently it broke some new issues. The universal remote controls no longer work, and the 700-pound soundbar either won't connect to the TV or randomly disconnects. Problem that's been around for several months now. Ooh, a little bit of good news here. Newspaper publisher McClatchy teeters near bankruptcy. Again, you did it to yourselves here. Nobody likes a liar. Put that together with the admission by the New York Times that nobody's believing or reading the liberal media anymore. Anyway. Let's see. There's a prediction that Neil Cavuto will be the next to go from Fox News. Purge is definitely on. Another little article here from Government Slaves. Over the last 3 years, American culture has gone even deeper down the drain. They're absolutely right. We see it all around us, like that guy in Tennessee who says, I'm a squirrel. Stripped naked, abandoned his families, living in the forest now. Boy, is he going to change his mind when that cold wave hits. But yeah, our American culture is dissolving right in front of our eyes. Now, part of it, of course, are all these refugees and illegal immigrants who are refusing to assimilate to our way of life. The other part of it is we're being encouraged by the snowflakes and the lefties to just be hypersensitive and offended at absolutely everything. And you look at this situation where everybody's attacking Christmas. They're attacking our history. They're attacking Christmas. All of our traditional values are under siege right now. They're trying to basically destroy our identity. So anyway, Ilham Omar apparently funneled $150,000 to her alleged lovers consulting group. Why do we keep electing such crooks to Congress here? Apparently somebody hacked China as the Chinese military moves on Hong Kong. Students are still trapped at the Polytechnic University, which is the main internet hub for all of Hong Kong. 99% of internet traffic goes through their servers. Apparently, Al Sharpton paid himself $1 million from his own charity. Very generous of him. And it's just getting crazy out there. It's just getting crazy. All right, we're coming up here on another commercial break. And again, our phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. So I could use a few phone calls to get us out of the end of the show. So we'll be back after these few words.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now to angioprim.com. That's ANGIOPRIM.com. Or to speak with a trained consultant. Give Angioprim a call at 954-882-7221. That's 954-882-7221.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
Some are maxed out all their credit cards. Some are working 2 jobs and living in cars. Minimum wage won't pay for a roof, won't pay for a drink. If you gotta have proof, just try it yourself, Mr. CEO. See how far $5.15 an hour will go. Take a part-time job at one of your stores. I bet you can't make it here anymore.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to the show. We're going to go to the phones here to Mike in Colorado. Aloha, Mike. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Well, thank you, sir. Aloha. I was just noticing this whole Epstein mania that's kind of running around. You know,
Yeah.
Have you seen some of that? There's a guy on YouTube that's got a channel that is for 10 hours broadcasting Epstein did not kill himself.
Yes. Well, at this point, it's pretty obvious Epstein did not kill himself. The FBI is not treating it as a suicide. There's a lot of people who think Epstein is actually still alive, and they just faked his death to get him out of that prison.
Well, and I guess my point is, do we have any law or any authorities left in this nation?
Not for the rich and powerful. And I learned that one
So
the
we
hard
do
way
have a
back in
two-tiered.
1994.
So we do have a two-tiered system.
Yes.
And I didn't catch all of your story. I knew that you were in Hollywood, and I knew that you ran into some things, and I blackballed you. But did you actively try to fight back?
There wasn't anybody to fight back against. I mean, I tried to do the right thing. There was very obvious evidence that Vince Foster did not commit suicide, but was the victim of a murder made to look like a suicide. And so I tried to report it. You know, see something, say something. We've all heard that phrase before. And I went to friends I had in the newsrooms of the 3 networks. And it's like they already knew that that was what had happened to Foster. And they all said, I can't touch that. It's my job if I touch that.
Got it. Okay. So that's kind of the same thing that we're dealing with now.
Yes. Well right now it's gotten much worse. It's much worse today.
Well, if anybody's on YouTube, there's a channel called 444, and you spell it out, and you got to see this thing. It's amazing. So if you got people that are listening, just have them drop by there for a second. If you have time, Michael, check it out. It's pretty neat. So thanks for your show, buddy.
I definitely will. Thanks an awful lot. All righty. So the phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. And scientists have apparently developed 3D printed skin that will actually develop working blood vessels. Now that's going to be great for people who are like burn victims. That's pretty cool. 3D printing has come a long way. All right, the United States has the highest child detention rate in the world. And here's another case of PC out of control. Apparently, companies that fail to tackle climate change will be delisted from the London Stock Exchange. Well, how do you tackle climate change? The climate is always changing. And the last several winters have basically put the final nail into the coffin of this idea that carbon dioxide is warming the planet, because carbon dioxide levels have increased slightly. As a result, plants are growing faster, larger, healthier, producing more food. But obviously the temperatures aren't going up. Somebody just sent me an article where they're still out there saying October was the second warmest on record. You know, look out the window. This is going to be a very hard winter. And again, with the dire warnings we're getting about this next polar vortex, please take it seriously. You know, don't take a chance. Take all your warm stuff with you. If you're too warm, you can take something off. But if you go out there lightly dressed and you get caught in the cold, you know, they're saying this can bring about frostbite in just 5 minutes. And frostbite is just a fancy way of saying that parts of you are beginning to freeze solid and die. Apparently over in Great Britain, there's this illegal immigrant, and he's confessed to multiple sexual assaults, but they're saying they can't deport him because he won't sign the paperwork. I mean, that's just absurd. So the British government is now begging India's embassy to help them get him out. Apparently, there's this 65-year-old Catholic adoption agency closes in Pennsylvania after being ordered to perform gay adoptions. Now, obviously, this is something we don't want to be seeing happen. On the other hand, some of those Catholic institutions have not been very kind to the kids that they have. And like the Tuam scandal in Ireland. All righty. All right, we're going to take another break for commercials. Phone lines are open, 800-313-9443, and we'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
Many people write us about their experience with Extendivite. Allow me to read you some from Amazon.com. It really does work like the review says it does. I cannot believe that after the first few days, I didn't feel as sluggish or clogged up. It has had a profound impact on my physical, emotional well-being. I'm skeptical as most people about products and their claims, and I never write reviews, but this is a wonderful product and I recommend it to everyone. Great product. It has brought my blood pressure from the mid-150s over the 80s to the mid-130s over mid-80s, along with diet and exercise in just the past couple of months. Excellent. Thank you, David. Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Folks, this is very important information. What's to be said about CBD? AncientLifeOil.com. Our CBD is made from hemp and has 0.003 THC, which means this wonderful product won't get you high, no matter what amount you take. What does CBD do for the body? My hands are tied, but you can Google CBD benefits and be astounded. When you're finished reading, you'll want to log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. and purchase. Life is good when you feel good. People are tired of pain. People are asking for non-GMO organic products to help them with, you fill in the blank. Legal in 49 states, and again, our CBD is made from hemp. Ancient Life Oil is about helping people one by one by one. If you wonder how good the product is, the CEO takes it every day without miss. AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Have a great day.
We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. We have a caller on the line, Ken in New York. Aloha, Ken. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Aloha, Mike. In the case of the space station and talking about carbon dioxide, if you had, let's say, 3 to 5 people, how much plant life would it take to cause an exchange between the carbon dioxide and the oxygen? The cycle.
I don't actually know that, but it would be fairly easy to calculate. I know that NASA is looking for plant species that are most efficient at taking in CO2 and producing oxygen. because going to that model, you're going to have to use as little room as possible.
It would seem that if an experiment, I'm sure this experiment must have been done somewhere, and you would think that that would be sufficient to kill the argument about carbon dioxide being this evil gas.
Well, carbon dioxide is not an evil gas. It was declared that way as part of this whole human-caused global warming hoax. But if there were no more carbon dioxide, plant life would die on this planet, and we would follow.
Right. So the implication I see is that the reason to get rid of carbon dioxide is to get rid of us.
Well, they're not really trying to get rid of carbon dioxide. They just chose it as the villain because it could be laid at the feet of the human population. The fact of the matter is that water vapor is a far more potent greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide, but you're not going to get people to go along with a cloud tax. So they needed a villain that could be blamed on human activity, and so they picked carbon dioxide. And of course, the irony there is that a few years back, NASA did some research and said, you know, carbon dioxide does not, in fact, act like a pane of window in a greenhouse when it's up in the atmosphere. In fact, it's an atmospheric coolant because it takes in heat from the sun and re-radiates it back out into space. So, I mean, that whole issue of the global warming is it's bad science. It's bad science. But who was it who came out the other day and said, you know, don't worry about the science, just believe?
Yeah, I heard that. I heard that a couple of weeks ago, I think.
And, you know, it really is silly. And there was another article that we had at whatreallyhappened.com. I did mention it on the show before, but it basically came on out that in Europe, science teachers are being told that if they question the official orthodox view of anything, that's just bigotry on their part.
Well, that is also reminiscent of something that was attributed to Clinton a long time ago, where he said something like, who do you believe, me or your lying eyes?
Well, a lot of people have used that phrase here. And I remember during the Clinton...
It really does fit them.
People have to start believing their eyes. They have to start using their senses. You know, you've got eyes, ears, nose, touch, and you got to start using those and stop thinking that what you see on CNN, Fox, NBC, ABC, MSNBC represents reality in any way, shape, or form, because it doesn't. Their job is to convince you that certain things are real so that they can be used to control you, and global warming is one of them.
Well, good night.
Good night. Stay warm. Have a good evening. All right, getting on back here. This story is kind of weird. Apparently, the cops put a GPS tracker on a man's car. He removed it. Kind of amazing that he knew it was there. And the police charged him with theft for removing the GPS tracker. So the questions that occur to me are, first of all, how did he know it was there? And second, why did the police bother with a GPS tracker unless this guy had a habit of leaving his cell phone at home? But I mean, there's something weird about the idea where this guy found this GPS tracker and took it off his car, and they charge him with theft. Now, that doesn't make any sense to me at all. It's not like he went into the police station and stole the unit. The police put it on his car. And, you know, again, the police don't want you playing with their toys. There are still states in this country where radar detectors are illegal. And especially those that are built to be invisible, that are like behind the radiator grill, with a little tiny unit inside the passenger compartment. The police will just literally use bolt cutters to rip it out. Me, I use the cruise control on the car, so I know I'm not speeding. And I remember I had a radar detector when we lived in Hawaii, and it was pretty much useless because it was always getting pinged by all the radars that were operating around the military bases. So it's definitely one of the things we did not bother bringing with us to Indiana. All right, we're going to go back to the phones here to Kelly in Austin. Aloha, Kelly. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
I heard your comments about CO2, and I wanted to chime in again. I'm the geochemist who calls in periodically. People need to understand, people who want to eliminate CO2 emissions need to understand that you get to a low level in the atmosphere, and you actually disrupt the photosynthesis process at about 150 ppm. Vegetation is so stressed that it really can't produce oxygen. Our oxygen levels in the atmosphere are now at about 20.5% mole percent. And if you get much below that, those levels will plummet. And if you look back at extinction records over time, and extinction has been a common event over Earth's history. It's not a rare event. Some of the major extinctions have been attributed to or traceable to periods of time when oxygen levels dropped from high levels to low levels. For example, at the end of the Permian, the so-called end Permian, or the so-called Great Dying Event, 252 million years ago, was related to a dramatic drop in oxygen levels from about 30 mole percent in the atmosphere to around 15%. That stressed land vegetation so much so that most of land plants and animals died.
Yes.
In the oceans, and most of ocean species died as well. So if you want to promote the elimination of CO2 into the atmosphere, you better be wary, because what you're doing is you're actually advocating the extinction of Homo sapiens and most species of land mammal. This is not a good idea. We need to have a higher level of CO2 in order for vegetation to be healthy and for CO2 to continue to produce, or for land plants, specifically the deciduous trees, to continue to generate oxygen levels that can be supportive of land plants and animals.
Well, you're absolutely right, of course. And the global warming people don't want to eliminate atmospheric CO2. They just want to tax us for it. That's the plan here, to get money out of us. And, it's interesting. I don't know about you, but I love the Jurassic Park franchise of movies, but it couldn't actually happen. And that's because during the Jurassic period, oxygen levels on this planet were much, much higher than they are today. And so if somebody reconstituted a dinosaur and put it out there in the park, it would just sort of be lying on the ground, wheezing and trying to breathe.
No, you're right about that. The pulmonary systems of those animals really could not function in today's climate because oxygen levels are much lower. It's a nice story, but that's not going to happen. If you look, for example, at the structure of the animals, the dinosaurian species in particular at the end of the Cretaceous, their lung capacities were enormous.
Yes.
And that's because they were taking in huge amounts of oxygen. And when the asteroid slammed into the Chicxulub area, and that really knocked the hell out of the oxygen levels in the atmosphere, those oxygen levels plummeted. And what happened was that all those species that were really adapted to living in that oxygen-rich environment died almost overnight. It was much more dramatic than what happened at the end of the Permian, which was a more dramatic extinction over a period of time. But what happened was that both are really related to similar events that led to the dramatic drop of oxygen. And if that happens here, let's say we're able to pass legislation that leads to a dramatic drop of CO2, which will not happen. what's going to happen is that suddenly you're going to find that there will be an acceleration of extinction across the globe.
Yes.
The people who advocate for that better be careful what they're asking for, because they just might get it.
Well, like I said, the real goal of the global warming movement is to scare us out of more of our money and more control over our lives in the name of saving planet Earth from us icky poo humans. And there's been no real major effort trying to reduce atmospheric CO2. In fact, CO2 levels have gone up ever since Al Gore started this whole thing.
Well, we should hope the CO2 levels stay. We're now at about 0.42%, 0.042% CO2. You were right. Earlier, you commented that water vapor is the most significant global warming gas. It is by far and away, and the second most significant global warming gas is methane.
Yes.
CO2 is not nearly as close in significance to water vapor and methane.
Yes.
The one thing to be concerned about, and one thing that happened at the end of the Permian, was that the oceans turned over, the chemistry of the oceans changed, and the methane hydrates began to dissolve, and all that methane dissolved into the atmosphere, and that caused a dramatic drop. Led to a dramatic drop in oxygen levels.
Yes.
It's a lot more complicated than Al Gore and morons like Ocasio-Cortez really understand it to be. Anyway, that's my comment for today. Usually when I hear something related to geology, I'll respond, and especially anything related to geochemistry. And really, when I hear people make asinine comments about CO2 and the effect of lowering, the necessity of lowering CO2 in the atmosphere, I have to point out that you're really asking for something that's going to end life on Earth as you know it, if you get what you want.
Yep.
I'll say what I have to say.
All right. Well, thank you very much for the phone call. And as I've mentioned many times before, commercial greenhouses will artificially elevate the level of CO2 inside those greenhouses because it makes the plants grow faster, taller, and produce more saleable crop. And absolutely far from being this toxic material that we have to get rid of, CO2 is essential for the chain of life. We can't get rid of it. Not without getting rid of ourselves. And but again, the purpose of the global warming movement is not to try and get the climate under control. It's just another made-up hobgoblin to scare us out of our money. So, all righty. Article here coming out of, let's see, governmentslaves.news. And it's talking about this revolution that's underway in manipulation of video by computers and how artificial intelligence is now being brought into it. I saw a very convincing demo of this not too long ago. Now, there was a giveaway. There was a tell in the image that something funny was going on, but it was really very, very good. And you can be sure that corporate media is investing in this technology. And so what it means basically is that any video being shown on TV may not be real. It'll be just another form of deception. So here's an interesting little article. This is out of Investment Watch blog asking, are journalists creating drama so they can report it? When is it news and when is it deliberate public manipulation? Well, there's a saying in the news industry, if it bleeds, it leads. If it thinks, it stinks. And there's a wonderful song out there called Dirty Laundry that talks about, working in the evening news and knowing that what the audience responds to what'll keep them tuned to your channel through the commercials, is scandal and sin. And there used to be a running joke in the TV news that TV news was basically 4 disasters followed by a fashion show. And I learned about TV news. First of all, I took a journalism class. And then I briefly worked at a TV station in Orange County called KBSA. And I happened to be hired by them at a time when they were going through some major changes, including the fact that the station manager, who was also the news anchor, had kind of disappeared. And so that kind of left me in sort of de facto in control of the news programming for the station. The first thing I did is I realized they were just taking the local newspaper and reading that on air. Now, that's a good way to get yourself sued. So I went down the road to a radio station, and I bribed one of their people with a guest card to the Magic Castle, and I'd get the news copy off their telex machine, and then I'd go back and I'd rewrite the stories myself. So it's a bizarre world. It really is. Okay, we got to take a break for our last commercial break. We've got a caller waiting on the line, and we will be right back.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, 2, keep it today.
Many people tell us about their experience with Extendivite. Just listen to what Glenn has to say.
Prior to taking it, I had diabetic neuropathy. The Extendivite reduced that significantly. Acid reflux was reduced. I had athlete's foot, very severe. Trimmed that down to about 75%. Dandruff, almost completely gone. I had occipital neuralgia at the base of my skull. I was having migraines, reduced by about 90%. Heart palpitations, my heart would kind of stall out. I would skip a beat. Very uncomfortable. And when walking from downstairs going to sleep, by the time I got to the bedroom, which is just one flight of stairs, my heart was pounding, coming out of my chest. My vision was blurry. This completely solved that problem. Great product. Thanks.
Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcasts. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight. Women and children alike.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. And the lights just dipped here a little bit, so I hope, well, we only have 5 more minutes to go on this show here. Let's go to the phones. Bruce in Texas. Aloha, Bruce. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, aloha, Mike. I just had to call in when you mentioned Don Henley's Dirty Laundry.
Yes.
I'm going to play a few notes of another song, see if you can name that tune. You recognize it?
I couldn't hear it.
How about that?
While you were sleeping, they came and took it off.
That's Inside Job by Don Henley.
Okay.
Song about the 9/11. That song about 9/11. That song has been banned from YouTube. Matter of fact, the publisher itself hold rights on it. And you can't even post it, and you can't mirror it or anything. I tried, and it was gone in 10 minutes. Or at least under an hour.
Yeah. I'm not
So
surprised.
it's kind of difficult for me to tell people to go, yeah. And it's a good song. And it came out on his album, Inside Job. And props to him for having the guts to publish it. And that's just the world we live in. We can't even have music because it's, not politically correct. But
Well,
I
mean,
like Dirty Laundry.
the,
That was a good one too.
The radio networks have had ban lists for years now. Any anti-war songs, they're not played on the air. That's one of the reasons why listening to radio isn't the experience it used to be. It's just the same, tap that we've been hearing over the last several years.
Yeah, who's the artist who makes that song in your bumper music? What Really Happened? Is that even on YouTube? I'd like to look it up.
It's not on
that
YouTube.
Girl that sings.
Yeah, What Really Happened? I'm blanking on her name. Let me get that for you right now. And okay. Let's see. Music from the radio show. Oh, and Adobe Flash Player is blocked. All right. Well, I'm
okay.
Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry about
That's
that.
cool. I thought it'd be a good way to end the show. And I was going to suggest it for a bumper music, but maybe it'll claim copyright or something. Who knows? But Don Henley, Inside Job. I'm sure maybe someone can find it if they want to hear it. It's very sobering. And,
Well, we'll definitely
thanks
hunt
for
it
everything
down
you do,
here.
Mike.
But all the music we use on our show, I have the permission of the copyright holder to be using it. And these people were very generous in allowing me to use their music for the bumps and so forth.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Mike.
All right. Thank you for the phone call. And there's a lot of great music out there. It's very topical. It's very much on point. You're not allowed to hear it. There's the music. Time for me to get out of here. Stay tuned for John Stadmiller. I'm sure he's got lots of interesting things to share with you. Please spread the word of RBN. Spread the word of whatreallyhappened.com. Please donate and share what you learn here with everybody that you know. Face-to-face, bring back the SneakerNet or email. Forget social media. It's totally compromised at this point. We'll be back tomorrow. Aloha, America.